What's happening, everyone? My name is Akeem Henry. Welcome to the Mission of Medicine podcast.
Right.
Today we have
Ready?
another 3, 2, 1, action. What advice do you have for individuals from a non-traditional background who aspire to pursue a career in medicine?
Do it. There's a quote, and I'm sure you've heard it, people out there have heard it a million times. 4 years, 10 years, whatever down the road, 4 years or 10 years will have passed. And are you going to still be in the same place wanting to do it? Or will you have just chased it and find out, hey, I'm going to go do this or not?
Yeah.
And it may be cliche to say, but it's so true. Because would you rather be figuring out and finding out and doing the thing that you say you love and going for it? And, hey, I'm a little older, 4 years, 10 years from now, I'm going to be that either way. So I'm going to go do what I want to do. I'm going to go do something that I love and not be miserable. Because that's the part that you end up being, unfortunately, is, you may end up being miserable or, trying to find some alternative thing when this is what you really want to do.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Mission of Medicine. My name is Akeem Henry, and today we have another special interview for you all. Today I have no other than one of my classmates. His name is student Dr. Edward DeBrady. And the reason why we're actually doing this interview here today, and I've said this before, is that we had a video go viral in our class that was made about age. About what age did you start medical school? And what age did you start medical school, Edward?
I started at the very young age. No, that's from the video.
Age did you start medical school?
I started at the very young age of 36 years old. I started at the age of 36.
36. And that video took off. And when you look at the comments, the people just loved the 30-plusers in our class. They wanted to hear more. They wanted to understand, how did they get in? What was the process like? What was their experience like? So we wanted to do a more deeper dive into their stories so they can share it with you all, so you can get a better insight about how they were able to overcome the obstacles and still make it into medical school.
Cool.
All right. You ready, Edward?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Well, Edward, can you tell the people where you're from, your background, and where did you went for undergrad?
So I am born and raised in North Philadelphia. Born and raised. And I went to Central High School undergrad. Shout out 264. That's my class number. I love them guys. And then I went to Morehouse undergrad. One of the best decisions I ever made, and loved my experience there. So that's my background.
So, as you already said, you started at the age of 36 for entering in medical school. What was your career before medical school, and what made you make the switch?
So to answer that, to be honest, what career didn't I have before medical school? I'll be honest with you. I actually worked in finance. I worked as a server. I did Uber for a little bit. I've worked in clinical research. I worked as a scribe. And so my most recent one, where before I transitioned into medical school, I actually worked in clinical research. And so what made me transition, it was losing the fear of going to chase what I wanted to do. To be honest, I went to undergrad, got a degree in biology, and it was always I wanted to go to medical school and study medicine. I saw the field up front and close, and I just loved what I saw. But did some other things, had a lot of other passions, and chose some other routes. And what I found was, that love for medicine, that love for wanting to treat people and help people never went away. So I never lost that desire to go to medical school. In fact, probably all my old jobs, they can always tell you, oh, he's always wanted to go. He talked about it all the time, but it wasn't until I decided that I was really going to go that I made that real transition.
Okay. And so what point in life did you decide that you wanted to become the doctor?
So the point in life that I decided that I was really interested in medicine, or I was first exposed to it, I say was really young. My mother is a PA, and so she would, always be in the hospital, and so I was in the hospital as a kid.
Yeah.
But it was really when she would do like mission trips, and she would do like medical mission trips and things like that. And I actually got to see her, like all the different people that she got to treat and different things the experiences that she got to have with the different people in different cultures and things like that. And just the impact that had.
Yeah.
It was amazing to me. So I've really started getting interested in seeing what that looked like then. And then I had older family members who actually went into the medical field.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is what you guys get to do every day? Bet. Let me, know.
Yeah.
And so that was what sparked the interest, and then, had my journey through through undergrad and whatnot, and then finally ended up where I am now.
So it really seemed like to me you had personal family connections or people who had experiences in the healthcare field that kind of just like opened your lens to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to my oldest brother, two of my brothers who are in the medical field.
Okay. Are they doctors?
Yeah, actually both of them are physicians.
Okay.
And they really, but their thing was, if you want this, you got to go get it on your own.
Yeah.
This is not a field. This is not a field where, where it's, there can be a lot of nepotism in medicine.
Yes.
Per se, but in reality, my family said this is not a place where you're going to be given anything. If you really want this, you got to go get it. And so I had them, and then I had some really great mentors, close family mentors. One who is a pediatric surgeon in Philly, who actually did a lot during COVID, who really just kind of emboldened that love and that drive, the passion for medicine.
Okay. And for folks who don't have like those connections or those family members who are in healthcare that are interested in medicine as exploring it as an opportunity, what advice would you give them?
To be honest with you, and I had to do this myself as well. Seek out people. There is nothing, any advice I would give you, there's nothing more important than finding a mentor.
Yes.
Finding somebody, and it can be somebody you have no idea who they are. You see them, you're interested in kind of what they're doing, and you're like, that might be cool. Reach out to them. Reach out to them, because the field of medicine can be so close, be so, enclosed in, because you get so, inculcated with the work that you're doing and what you have to do. But people are always willing to like literally reach out and say, hey, you're interested? Let me show you what it's really all about.
Yeah.
And that was one of my greatest experiences. I reached out to a black male OBGYN at Jefferson.
Okay.
He actually happened to be one of my alumni from my undergrad. But I had never met him before, didn't know anything about him too much. And, he was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
He was like, come, I'll bring you in, like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so those experiences, and then I finally did reach out to a family member and was like, hey, I'm serious. Like, and they were like, okay, if you're serious, come in. Let's see if you're really, so you can see what it's really about.
Right. Okay. So you said you went to Morehouse for undergrad. Did you end up doing a post-bacc at all?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
yeah. Go ahead.
Could you talk about that? Like what that program was like?
Yeah. So I actually, so this is not my first experience with Meharry. I did Meharry MHS program, post-bacc back in 2021.
Okay.
Was when we finished. And it was a really great experience. Because what it was for me was, coming from, not the strongest academic background, undergrad, but knowing, hey, I do believe I can do this, I can make it. And, then having achieved what I did, finally take MCATs and doing all those things. Once I got into MHS, I was really tested to see, okay, can you really understand this material? Can you get through medical school? Even if it's just an abbreviated version, a smaller, abbreviated version of it. And I was successful. I was able to do it. And that really kind of emboldened me to say, yeah, this is really for me. I really know I can do this.
Yeah.
do I think, it was a positive experience for me in that I knew that I could get through the material. Yes. Do I think that there were some drawbacks potentially? I was doing it during COVID, first off, so that was already, what it was. But all I'll say is, if you do have to go that route, I don't think everyone has to go that route. But if you do have to go that route, there's nothing wrong with it, and it really only enhances your application. It really is only going to make you better.
Yeah, I feel like for people who are considering a post-bacc, it's definitely important to look at your own profile and definitely weigh all the options and the different ways that you could, still get into medical school or professional school. Because, some of these post-bacc programs have MCAT requirements, or some of them have MCAT prep built into it, and some of them do not. So it's just like looking at what works sense and what makes sense for your case.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say, make sure you're choosy about which one that you actually choose to go to. Ask all the questions, get all the information, because unfortunately there is a trend that we can say in medicine where, unfortunately, it's almost a requirement to do one of those type of programs. I would say, talking to our classmates, 75, 80%, if not more, have done one. And I feel like it's becoming a trend in medicine. But there are some positives, but make sure you're very particular in which ones you choose to do.
Yeah. Because if your GPA is good, you don't have to worry about that. Just focus on getting the MCAT score that you need.
Facts. MCAT is the number one thing. Get that MCAT.
Yeah. So speaking of the MCAT, with advancements in technology and resources for schooling and test taking, how did you study for the MCAT to get into medical school? And then how did your studying change once you got into medical school?
A lot more of it. Studying for the MCAT was, for me, it was really learning. You got to learn how to take the tests. So it was, you got to do your content review. You got to know the information. But really what made the difference in my MCAT score versus, from the first time I took it to the time that I took it to get in was really actually going back and reviewing my questions, making sure that I actually understand, why are they asking me this? What is the information they're actually trying to gain from this question? Because the MCAT isn't really going into the deep information if you really think about it. It's really just asking, do you understand this concept, and how do you apply it? Do you know how to apply it? And so it was more so, okay, did I understand the question? And be honest with myself. Did I understand the question? Did I just get it right because I guessed or whatnot, and those type of things? Really reviewing my exams, putting myself in a real full-length experience exam, and then going back and saying, do I understand those concepts? And then reviewing and then retaking exams. So taking as many practice exams as you can, but actually reviewing them.
And were there particular resources you used for the MCAT?
Yeah. Best one for me, I definitely used AAMC's practice exams, but I interspersed them with UWorld. So I used UWorld. I lived by UWorld because it was definitely helpful for me.
UWorld's explanations,
man, I'm telling you, they're key.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so what's been your study strategy now that you're a medical student?
Actually, crazy enough, it's been a little bit of the same.
Okay.
What I had to do was, I tried to change up a little bit when I got here, and I was like, I'm going to get the resources. I'm going to learn everything. And that did not work out. That was like, dude, you're not going to learn everything there. You're not going to come in knowing everything there is to know about medicine, and you're not going to learn everything there is to know about medicine in this short time frame, even with how it's broken up. So I had to pick a resource and stick with it.
Yes.
And the other ones, if I can add them in, or if I can add maybe one in, and to help me get some different information, you use what tools are good for what they're good for. But I stick to, I may be one of the, different ones in the group in the class, but I stick to those RX bricks.
Okay.
I go through those RX bricks. And then I also do all those questions. I do all the questions that I can.
What's your question banks that you use?
So question banks that I use the RX, you're telling me RX,
Okay.
because that first aid
Yes.
is on there. So you got to tie it to first aid because first aid is the Bible for
First
MD&D.
aid in medical school is basically a book that we have that essentially has all the preclinical information in it, and it's broken it down very outline based, and it follows their online question banks and their bricks and stuff as well. So
yeah, that's kind of your Bible. That and Pathoma.
okay. Yeah.
are your Bibles in medical schools so far. And then I do kind of supplement with some Amboss questions here and there, but sometimes they can get a little out of scope for me. So I use them sparingly.
Okay. All right. Now moving into a different vein of things, in medical school, it's so easy to get caught up in just study all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We have to kind of, incorporate other things outside of that, whether it's relationships with family members or significant others. Do you think dating or being married in medical school is manageable?
Yes. It is going to be dependent on you, though.
Yeah.
Because let's just say, I'll say, watching our classmates and, my own personal relationships, I've seen, people get too caught up in the relationship aspect of it. And then I've also seen people, unfortunately, like they're just kind of so built in that they, feel like they're in a silo. And so you have to be intentional. So that's what I would recommend. You have to be intentional about your time. So you actually have to plan and say, I'm going to spend time. In my phone, I'm going to call my mom this week. I'm going to, reach out to all the people that I care about. I actually have that scheduled into my phone because, you can get lost up in study. I got to go study. I got to go know this. And those people care about you. They're the reason why you got here.
Yeah.
For most of the time. And, they're the people, that's your support system. So when you get lost or when you do feel you're getting in that silo, you need to reach out to them. You have to take time away from it. And so with dating and all that stuff, even that, like, have fun. You can go out and have fun. You need that aspect, but you have to be intentional about it. So you have to be upfront with the person that you're dating. Hey, look, from this time period I'm going to be unavailable, but I have made time for you. And so I think, it's very possible, but you got to be intentional.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Intentionality is key, y'all. Do you have kids?
I don't have any kids.
Do you want kids?
Man, I want as many as I can afford. That's my.
Well, you'll be able to afford quite a bit.
We'll see. But yeah, I want as many as I can afford.
Yeah.
And I'm up there, so I want to be able to run around and play with them and have fun.
Okay. All right. What motivates you to persevere through med school? Because there's a lot of difficult times, a lot of challenging moments.
Yeah, it's been. So I'm a really big lover of people, man. I love to interact with people. I love to learn about people, cultures, different things. And so it really has been my drive to really affect people's lives in a positive way, and make sure that I'm learning. What we're learning now is how can I be the best at what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Like I'm learning this skill that nobody else in the world, or a very small group of people in the world actually have the ability to do.
Right.
And how can I be the best at that so that the people that I encounter and the people that I actually treat are going to have the best outcomes? Like, that's what drives me. Like, if I'm doing this, so there's a quote, and this is part of, what I would give any advice to anybody out here. But as far as like words of wisdom, whatever. But there's a quote that I got from undergrad and from our esteemed president, and Benjamin Elijah Mays, and he said, do something so well that no man living, no man dead, and no man yet to be born could ever do it better. And I think that has really stuck with me. That's something that I really want to. And do I fail at it all the time? Sure. Do I falter? But I get better.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal for me, is get better every day.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you're doing, even if you fail at it, failing is not going to keep me from doing better. Failing is not the end of it. It's, did you learn? Did you get better? And that's what, that's where I'm trying to go.
I love that. I love that. And it's like raising and keeping a high standard for yourself.
Absolutely.
So you have something that you're aiming for, that you're working towards, to hold yourself accountable to. When you don't have that, you can just do anything. And sometimes that doesn't amount to excellence.
Yeah, man. If you're here if your goal is the money, I can tell you there are much better ways to go about getting it.
Mm-hmm.
But if your goal is to really actually be here to, do something and do something positive and really have an impact on the world, you're actually going to do something great, I think.
Speaking of, there's so many other opportunities or career paths that you could go into to get to the bag or get to the money, right? We go through so much to get here. The admissions process is very challenging.
Ooh.
So I wanted to see if you could talk about your experience going along the admissions process to medical school.
My admissions process was challenging in that I can write, but I hate to write papers. Oh my goodness. It is I am just the person who hates to write papers. So, and then writing about myself. Oh, tell me everything about you. It was, it was really that was the hard part for me. How do I talk about myself and just say, oh, I am just the best candidate for everything? And it's like, all right, okay, now I got to step up to the challenge and say, okay, I am the best candidate, because you also have to believe that to get in. That's part of it.
It's a certain level of confidence.
Yeah, there's a certain level of confidence. You actually do need to believe that to make it through. Whether or not you're going to have challenges, that's going to happen. But so as far as the writing aspect, writing about, my personal statement and my story, that was something that was a part of a challenge for me. I can get up and talk to people. So the admissions part, as far as the interview, wasn't a big challenge for me. I didn't find that challenging, but talking about my flaws, talking about where I may have failed, that was something that was a little bit difficult for me. And then all the money involved. The money involved in doing all those applications. That was, it is what it is. And you got to send out all those different papers and information to all those different schools. So I applied to about 20 different schools. So having to do that, that adds up, man.
Yeah, it adds up for sure. Shoosh. So in that same spirit of applying back to medical school, you're probably putting a lot of money on the line. Did you have any doubts about returning back to student life?
Absolutely.
How did you overcome that? And what were they, and how did you overcome it?
Sure, yeah. So my doubts were, how am I going to connect with these 22, 23, 24-year-old kids? And no, I don't. I don't mean to call you kids, huh?
He's doing just fine.
I appreciate that, for real. Thank you. It really was they're a different generation. And I don't consider myself old by any stretch of the imagination, but it was we're. I had to call my friends who were in medical school right now, who were were a little bit older as well. And I was like, "What did you do?" And they were like, "Get on TikTok." I was like,
"Oh my God, I get on TikTok."
Get on TikTok. I was like, I don't look at TikTok.
Yeah.
And now I have one, but I rarely use it. But I mean, I'm on there. They were like, "Get on TikTok. Then you can talk about all the different things that they're talking about." But you know what? It's really, people are people at the end of the day. So I really had to just come in and say, I'm going to be me. And whoever loves me for me, that's who I'm going to, be around. And the people that don't, sucks for you. That's, but to be honest, I've had such a positive experience so far in that regard.
Yeah.
So I would definitely give you that advice. Anybody out there, be you, be your authentic self. Don't try and put on oh, I'm this or I'm that. because people are going to see through it. People are going to see through it immediately. We are all highly intelligent people.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Did you have any other doubts or anything?
I mean, of course, as far as whether or not I was going to be able to make it through medical school. I mean, and granted, we just finished our first year. Shout out to us.
New M2s.
But dude, I mean, not even just before, during, like, there were moments. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I remember we had a conversation. This was probably right after like GI or something like that. Or no, it was during MSK. It was in the middle of MSK.
MSK, bro. MSK was my unit. I was scared. I said, what is this?
We literally had a conversation. I remember we were at an event and we had a conversation, and it was like, I had to call back home and be like, I don't know what I signed up for. I don't know. I didn't know this was this real. Like,
bro.
But look at us. Look at us.
Yeah. The MSK final. The MSK final was on my birthday, December 8th. And I was just so nervous that week. I was like, I cannot fail this exam on my birthday. I have to study. I did not feel confident in that information at all.
Oh my goodness. Walking in there.
Yeah.
I mean, not only because it was like, we're not only doing muscles, we're doing derm, we're doing neuro, we're getting a little bit of everything.
Everything's being thrown at you. Give me ortho, give me derm.
Give me all that, yeah.
Everything. I'm just like, bruh, this is a lot. But okay, bet. But since starting medical school, have you had any revelations, just like an aha moment of something that you just didn't really expect?
An aha moment. An aha moment, I would say something more along the lines of, I feel like, I knew medical school was competitive. Obviously, it's a lot of highly competitive people.
Yeah.
I would say, one of the observations or things that I've really had is, we really don't have for you to eat doesn't cause me not to have. For you to win, like, I don't have to lose. And I feel like it's a culture, unfortunately, that I think sometimes can be a little toxic. And, luckily, my approach to it has been, oh, you did better in this area. You know this a little more than I do.
Yeah.
Come teach me.
Let's go to a session.
Come over here. Like, teach me what I need to know. Because I know I'm not going to know it all.
Yeah.
But like, hey, let me get around people who do. Let me get around. And I think that's been beneficial, that I've been able to find people that are been open to that. But I've also seen people that are like, I'm going to closely guard this information. And like, sorry, like, you got to get it on your.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. And if, anything to my classmates who see it, if you feel like that, if you feel like you've been on the other end of that as well, like, please reach out, like, talk to your classmates. Because I really feel like, just in medical school, I've heard in general from other people, it can be really toxic in that way.
Cutthroat sometimes.
And we're here these are your cohort. These are your people that you're going to be practicing medicine with. What is the end goal? To treat these patients as best as possible. Yes, it's to get a job. Yes, it's to, get where you've dreamed of all your life.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you don't know something, somebody else does.
Yeah.
Go ask them.
That's the one thing that I've never been scared to do, is ask somebody for help.
Man,
if I'm not doing well in something, I'm gonna find somebody that know the information.
Don't sit there in silos and silence by yourself.
In silence. That's the worst thing you could do to yourself in medical school and in professional school in general, is just isolating yourself, not asking for help, not reaching out in a timely fashion before that exam or something where it just hits the fan. Like, yeah. And with this conversation alone, just like, it's stressful. Like, just talking about those moments, you can remember yourself being in that middle of that stress, just trying to figure it out. How do you stay sane in medical school? What activities do you participate in to help de-stress?
How do I stay sane? I don't know that I am sane. No, in reality, how do I stay sane? You guys, really, you guys are fun. You guys are really a great group. But as far as myself, because I'm big on, like, if we're out and we're turning up and, and I know all right, this is when 36 shows up. Like, I gotta go home now. Like, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
But as far as myself, man, music, man. Music is my biggest
Music
one.
guy.
It's been, my solo love, passion. Like, this is one of those things I can go off, play music. So I'm an instrumentalist.
What instruments do you play?
So I play the trumpet. I've been training since I was a little kid, playing the trumpet. I'm also trying to teach myself a few other instruments as well. As well as, maybe a little DJing. We'll see that maybe next year a little bit. It'll be fun. And then, but I sing. So I've actually joined the choir here at Meharry. And also, just do music on the side is something that's just fun to do. So I've always been involved in music. I love to go out fishing. I love to go traveling. I love to be outside. So that's something, I love to do as well.
So you're an outdoorsman too?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
See,
That's my parents' fault.
I haven't gone fishing yet. I need to do that.
But what we were supposed to do, we were supposed to be going riding bikes. I know you guys love to do it.
Yeah.
But, I know I ride my bike, pretty, sparingly now lately, but I know you guys go all the time. And so that's something, I really enjoy as well,
Just having outlets outside of this is important. It just helps you to reset. It helps you to recharge and just be ready to face the stress again. But yeah, it's just a good way to balance yourself out.
For sure. Yeah. Gotta have them. You will not make it if you do not have them. I promise you, because you will go crazy sitting in the library for 12 hours a day.
Yeah. So, in medicine, the representation of Black men in medicine is very, very low. For us, I forgot the percentage, maybe like 3% or less.
Or less.
Yeah, that are actually physicians and they're classified as Black men. What is your experience like being a Black man in medicine?
So I can say that I had a divergent experience in that I have had a lot of great mentors in medicine, or I have been able to see a lot of great Black males go into medicine from my upbringing, but that was intentional again, by my parents putting me around people who were in those spaces, and then as I got older, putting myself in those spaces. But I also, when I got into those spaces, saw how little of us there was.
Yes.
And it was scary to see. It was scary to see because you realize we're 13% of the population. We do not represent 13% of medicine. And so being able to there's those cultural aspects and those things that we deal with and we see that people just don't understand or may not understand, just are not sensitive to. And so I feel like it was like scary to see people in medicine who they just kind of, when I would see them and they would deny some of the aspects that people were talking to them about. So when they're talking to them about their pain, or they're saying, hey, I'm having this experience in my body, that's real for them.
Yeah.
Whatever that was for you, whatever it is coming from medicine, that, from the medical aspect, you may have some understanding or reason for it. But for them, this is from, something that happened in my background, something that happened in my culture. And you have to acknowledge that. So, I mean, one thing I'm a really big proponent of is traditional medicine.
Okay.
But in the aspect of it has to be scientifically backed and resources and
Right.
researched. But to deny someone's experience because they're saying to you, hey, this worked for me. I came in and I took this XYZ and this actually worked for me. And to say, nah, it probably wasn't that worked, it was XYZ or some other thing.
Yeah.
You're denying them their experience and they're not going to want to see you. And whether or not it actually did work for them, you actually have to acknowledge that and say, hey, okay, did it work for you? Great. Let's talk about how we can further help you in other areas that we know of.
Right.
And let's work to bridge that gap, because there are people, so I have a Caribbean background.
Okay.
So Caribbean, they're African background, people who come from the Hispanic background who are saying, my grandmother gave me this treatment for whatever I got going on, a remedy going on. And this is what I use every day. And this is what I live by. And sometimes we find out that some of those remedies actually do help.
Yeah.
They do help in, tangentially or whatever.
Yeah. But
to deny their experience, they may never come to see you again. And that's how you lose people in medicine.
No, that's facts. That's facts. And I think it goes to show why cultural competency is important in the medical school education.
Absolutely.
To really allow future physicians to kind of have a better understanding of people from different backgrounds. Because it's one thing, like in some medical schools, they're still teaching that Black people or Black skin is thicker and can withstand more pain and all types of stuff like that. It's like
the GFR thing is still an issue. Like, how are we this far into medicine and people are still have these misconceptions and these misnomers? It's just it's crazy to me.
Yeah. Whew. What advice do you have for individuals from a non-traditional background who aspire to pursue a career in medicine?
Do it. Be real. Be honest with yourself. If this is your passion, if this is where you see yourself, there's that quote. There's a quote, and I'm sure you've heard it, people out there have heard it a million times. 4 years, 10 years, whatever down the road, 4 years or 10 years will have passed. And are you going to still be in the same place wanting to do it, or will you have just chased it and find out, hey, I'm going to go do this or not?
Yeah.
And it may be cliche to say, but it's so true, because would you rather be figuring out and finding out and doing the thing that you say you love and going for it? And, hey, I'm a little older, 4 years, 10 years from now, I'm going to be that either way. So I'm going to go do what I want to do. I'm going to go do something that I love and not be miserable, because that's the part that you end up being, unfortunately, is, you may end up being miserable or, trying to find some alternative thing when this is what you really want to do. So if this is what you love, this is what you want to do, go do it.
Yeah. And see, I even have a non-traditional background. I started medical school at age 27.
Right.
And so I didn't come to medical school directly out of undergrad. And I spent time exploring different career paths before this. I worked in business, management. And, ultimately I still said medicine is still what I wanted to do. I didn't feel happy working a 9 to 5 and just there in the office in a cubicle. I wasn't satisfied.
That cubicle would have killed me.
Bruh, like misery, that's miserable. Like I could not do it. So I'm like, let me go and take this MCAT. Let me go and do this post-bacc.
And so that's why when you asked me at the beginning, it was more so when I decided, all right, look, I'm tired of being afraid of what of the unknown. Because that's all it is. It's unknown.
Yeah.
And so it's like, can I do it?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know until I try. So let me go try. Let me go give it my best effort and say, can I do it? And look where it got me.
What advice do you have for younger individuals who want to pursue medicine?
For younger individuals, do it. No.
Do it.
No. Really. Yes, it's the same in that, I say if you're really passionate about it, do it. But I think you really have to search out your reason why. Search out your reason why, in that you have to decide, are you really willing to put in that time and that effort in the long term? Because this isn't a short-term goal. This is definitely the definition of delayed gratification. You're not getting those, we're not Meredith Grey. We're not getting all that money at the beginning. That may happen down the road. For sometimes it may not, majority it will, but let's be honest. But, this is a passion-driven field, and this is also a driven field of, are you willing to put in the work for a long period of time because this is what you really want to do. And so if you're in it because you see all the glitz and glamour, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
So, not saying you can't be happy in medicine, but make sure you're getting into it for the right reasons. And find a mentor. Find a mentor.
Mentorship.
Like, if I can give any advice, that mentor is going to change your life as far as in the field of medicine, dude. Because it wasn't until I really found the mentors that I really actually got the perspective in what I needed to do, how to be successful, and all those different things.
I guess it's in a similar vein, but if you could go back maybe 10, 12 years from now to your younger self, what would you have told yourself?
You trying to call me old?
Come on, Ed. What would you tell yourself? Like, what would you advise yourself?
I would tell myself that the numbers, your what you have now, what you've done so far doesn't define you. It doesn't define who you are. You define who you are and who you will be. So are you willing to make the change and put the effort in now?
Yeah.
And you have to be real with yourself. There was a point in time where I would say probably I may not have been at my very, very young, earlier ages. But I had to go through some life experiences and say, I'm going to do what it takes. So if I could go back, I would say I would wish I could, give myself those experiences a little earlier. But to be honest, I don't know that I would be where I am now if I didn't have those experiences. So I don't know if I would make too many changes.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And do you have any last remarks or imparting words you want to leave for the people before we wrap it up?
Yeah, find a mentor. That was a big one for me. Find a mentor. And I'll go back to another quote that we kind of live by.
Yeah.
That I got in undergrad again. It's not failure that's a sin. It's low aim, not having something to achieve or a goal to want to get for. So don't worry about the failure. Don't worry about, trying to get to something and failing at it, because you can fail at something 1,000,000 times. It takes the one time for you to actually win. And you're going to have a lot of failures. We're going to have 10 more before we, get through
Get out of here.
second year, but those failures teach you things. So learn from your failures.
Y'all heard the man. This is student Dr. Edward DeBrady. Y'all, this was an amazing interview. Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate you, man. I hope you have fun.
Yeah.
Hope you have fun.
Yeah.
Guys, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on, I do have social media. You can find me on social media. It's my last name is DeBrady Bunch.
Okay.
So you can find me on that on pretty much all my social media, or my name, Edward DeBrady, on Facebook, if that's what you still use.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Make sure please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please come back for more video content in the future. And remember, it's not a marathon nor a sprint. It's a mission to medicine. Peace.